Good morning, and welcome to First Universalist Church of Yarmouth. My name is Marge Titcomb, and I'm a member of the Faith and Action Council, and I'm so happy to be greeting you here today. At First Universalist, our mission is to explore our faith, embrace this community, and to engage the world as spiritual seekers. May we take these words to heart. If this is your first time to our congregation, welcome. We invite you to fill out a congregation connection card located in front of you in your pew, so we may connect you with events and programs that might interest you. We would also love to send you our weekly newsletter, which is called Channels. Following our service, all are invited to join us for coffee hour and fellowship, downstairs or outside. And for the health and wellness of everyone, we ask that you keep your mask on through the duration of this service. There is much going on in our community in the weeks ahead, so please check out the Sunday morning news insert in your order of worship. I now invite you to take a deep breath with me. As we settle into our time together, our music director, Sam Chandler, will now lead us into worship. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good. It's good to see you. Friends on Zoom, it's good to be with you. My name is Hillary Collins-Gilpatrick. I serve as the minister here at First Universalist Church in Yarmouth. And it's with peace and friendship that I say, whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, whatever you wish you had done or wish you had not done, or wish you had been allowed to do, you are welcome here. Oh, it must be springtime coming into summertime. And we're so glad you're here. Friends, to those here who are celebrating, happy Mother's Day. And to those here who are not celebrating, please know that while our service will be shaped by themes of motherhood and mothering, it's not going to be all brunch, bouquets, and boxes of chocolate today, folks. Rather, it's mostly going to be about love, gentle love, and tough love. As I've shared before, I once worked as a gardener up at a Buddhist center in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. There was a fence around the vegetable garden there, and on the door to it was a prayer that you were supposed to recite upon entering and leaving. Being that I was in and out of that garden many times each day, that prayer became deeply embedded in my speech and mind, and it remains with me to this day. The prayer is entitled Homage to Yeshe Tsogyal. And Yeshe Tsogyal was one of the first women written in Tibetan history to achieve enlightenment. She is seen as the mother figures of the bodhisattvas, the warriors of ultimate compassion. Yeshe Tsogyal fosters and nurtures the greatest beauty, courage, and compassion in all of us. And a prayer to her is a call to cultivate that beauty, courage, and compassion within ourselves that lies dormant. I offer the homage to Yeshe Tsogyal as our worship, as our call to worship this morning. It goes like this, and there are a couple lines that have exclamation points at the end of them, and I'll try to make those ones obvious. We pay homage to the mother lineage. Your robe is soaked in water. Your hair is elegant and airy. Your perfume is exquisite. From a grain of barley dropped on the ground, seemingly by accident, great prosperity has sprung. Your milk feeds us all. We like the crescent moon in your hair. We emanate your openness and beauty. You speak softly, but your command carries weight. Please do not stop loving us. We bathe in a grove of bamboo. Please help us to be gentle and tough. Amen. Good morning, my gentle and tough friends. It's good to be with you as we awaken our beauty, courage, and compassion together this morning. In a moment, our choir will rise and sing Bright Morning Stars, but before they do, I want to direct your attention over here to the quilted window hanging behind our friend Sam. As we plan to keep offering our services on Zoom, we need to have a curtain behind Sam so he isn't completely backlit when our tech crew films him. And you may recall that for the past couple years, there's been just a big dark curtain hanging in that window, but now, look, stars. There's a beautiful, calming, perfectly fitting quilt hanging there instead. And who do we have to thank for this gift? None other than our masterful quilters, Ann Turner and Dorothy McAloney. Woo! Thank you, Anne. I don't think Dorothy is here. Dorothy, are you here? No, I don't think so. Thank you, Anne. And thank you, Dorothy, for designing and stitching this beautiful quilt for us. It brightens our space, It calms our eyes, and it makes it possible for us to continue to provide services for everyone, everywhere. Anne and Dorothy have named this quilt Bright Morning Stars. And with joy, I now invite the choir to sing this hymn to us, one of my all-time favorites.
Thank you, Pete. Good morning. And now we're going to say our unison affirmation. The words are printed in your order of worship. We are united in seeking to increase love with justice and to constitute a free church open to all people. Mindful of our past and drawing upon modern knowledge, we respond to the spiritual needs of persons and are devoted to the common good in community, nation, and world. We cherish the integrity of each individual and search for truth with reason as our guide. We respect differences of opinion and strive to be a democratic community. We are concerned with this world and open to the future. And now we're going to light our chalice. If any children would like to come forward and help light the chalice, please come on up. Good morning again.
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so today is yet another special day. We have lots of them this spring because it is Mama's Day.
Mama's Day? I always called it Mother's Day.
Well, a lot of people call it Mother's Day, but there's also been a movement starting about 10 years ago to call it Mama's Day in celebration of all the mamas, especially those who sometimes aren't celebrated in our culture, like single mamas, stepmothers, non-binary or trans mothers, grandmothers raising their grandchildren, all sorts of mamas.
That's so cool to have a special holiday to celebrate all the mamas. Do you know what I was thinking about this Mother's Day, or Mama's Day?
What?
I was thinking about all the things I've learned from my mom.
Oh, what kind of things have you learned from your mom, Mac?
Well, my mom has taught me to embrace joy. She always finds happiness in really small things. She's also taught me to be strong and confident. She has always been the kind of person to speak out when she feels she or someone else is treated unfairly.
Wow. That makes me think about the things I've learned from my mom, too. I learned how to really listen to someone and pay attention to what they're saying. And I learned from watching my mom how to include everybody when you're making decisions.
Have any of you kids learned anything from your mom? Can anyone share with us some things that they have learned? Doesn't have to be just kids.
Any grown-up kids. Oh, how to keep
a promise.
That's a great one.
That's a good one. Empathy. To speak up for your needs.
Okay, well, you're all going to get another chance to think about this and talk about this, because I want you to turn and talk to your neighbors and share something you learned from your mom. Maybe it's something she taught you, maybe it's something you learned by watching her, and maybe it's something your mom didn't do, but you learned you needed. So take about 2 minutes and share something with your neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
Always shows me how to do it. Explains like strange things that happen in baseball to me. Big Red Sox fan. And you would like this. She's super organized. Like super.
Mine is too.
Super organized.
Yes.
Like she's retired and still has like a planner with like itemized everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mom's a teacher, so she taught me to be a teacher. Yes. And my grandma's also a teacher, so it runs in the family.
A long lineage.
Yep, a lot of lineage.
That's really cool.
Oh, I'm the one who does. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow!
Nice, thank you, everyone.
We learned so much from our mothers. We could talk all day, I think.
So I definitely agree. We've all learned a lot from our mothers. Some funny stories, maybe some hard ones. And no matter what your childhood was like or what your mom was like, it's good to stop and reflect today on the things we learned from our moms.
Sometimes those might be happy lessons, sometimes they're sad lessons, but they were all things that we learned.
Yes, and those lessons are something we can carry with us today and in the future. We can use things to help shape how we want to be as parents or as grandparents, as partners, as friends, as neighbors, as people in a community together.
And speaking of people together in a community, now it's time to say our children's blessing. Ready? We are
Unitarian Universalists, people of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. If any kids want to join us, we're going to head down to Children's Chapel.
Another breath and join me in another moment of silence. I offer a prayer this morning by Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich, who is the minister of the Unitarian Society in New Haven, Connecticut. The prayer is entitled, "For All the Mothers." For all the mothers and mother figures, the grandmothers, aunts, and extended family members who mother, the soon-to-be mothers, the wish they were mothers, the never wanted to be mothers, the it's complicated mothers. The birth mothers, foster mothers, adoptive mothers, stepmothers, used to be dad mothers, and more than one mom mothers. The single mothers, separated mothers, stay-at-home mothers, unhoused mothers. The grieving mothers, those who grieve their mothers, and those whose grief is complex. For all the communities that mother, for all who depend on the great mother, you are held and beloved. Amen.
Our offering this morning honors our second principle, which is justice, equity, and compassion for all human relations. We'll continue addressing the immediate needs of the 34 new Mainer families that are being housed at the motels in Yarmouth. Through these donations, YCAN, which is Yarmouth Cares About Neighbors, is addressing many of their needs. If you would also like to get involved, we're creating a few teams that would like to go on shopping sprees using Faith in Action funds to purchase items that are listed on the websites of Yarmouth Community Services or the Yarmouth Food Pantry. If you're interested, please see me after worship or give me a call or send me an email. For those in the sanctuary this morning, we'll be passing the plate to one another, and for those gathered with us online, you are invited to make your offering using the donate button, which is found in the order of worship. By clicking this link, you will be taken to Give Butter, which is a giving site that accepts a card number, PayPal, and Venmo accounts. You may also make an offering by dropping a check in the mail or using your bank's free bill pay feature. Thank you all for your generosity.
I've been dreaming, friendly faces, I got so much time to kill. Just imagine people laughing, I know someday they will. And even if it's far away, get me through another day. Cover me in sunshine, shower me with good times. Tell me that the world's been spinning since the beginning, and everything will be alright. Cover me in sunshine. From a distance, all these mountains are just some tiny hills. Wildflowers, they keep living while they're just standing still. And I've been missing yesterday, but what if there's a better place? Cover me in sunshine, shower me with good times. Tell me that the world's been spinning since the beginning, and everything will be alright. Cover me in sunshine, shower me with good times. Tell me that the world's been spinning since the beginning, and everything will be alright.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks you, everyone, for your generosity. Our reading this morning is a poem by the writer, organizer, and educator Mahogany L. Browne. Her poem is entitled, "This is the Honey." And I came across it a few months ago and just loved it, and I read it over and over and over again. And I actually planned to use it as my Easter reading, but I'm glad I held on to it for today. This is the honey. There is no room on this planet for anything less than a miracle. We gather here today to revel in the rebellion of a silent tongue. Every day, we lean forward into the light of our brightest designs and cherish the sun. Praise our hands and throats, each incantation, a jubilee of people dreaming wildly, despite the dirt beneath our feet, or the wind pushing against our greatest efforts. Soil creates things, art births change. This is the honey, and doesn't it taste like a promise? Where your heart is an accordion and our laughter is a soundtrack. Friend, dance to this good song. Look how it holds our names. Each bone of our flesh homes sings welcome. Oh, look at the gods dancing as the rain rains against the steely skyline, where grandparents sit on the porch and nod at the spectacle, in awe of the perfection of their grandchildren's faces, each small discovery unearthed in its own outpour. Tomorrow, our daughters will travel the world with each poem, and our sons will design cities against the backdrops of living museums. Yes, our children will spin chalk until each equation bursts a familial tree, rooted in miraculous possibilities and alive. During my time working at that Buddhist center in Vermont, we hosted Buddhist monks and nuns from all over the world who were touring the East Coast offering teachings. And often while monastics were staying with us, we would take little trips into town with them to pick up toiletries or groceries, or often just to get ice cream cones. Since it's quite rural up there in the Northeast Kingdom, running these errands meant driving along backcountry roads with sweeping vistas of the Green Mountain State. And during one such trip, the Tibetan monk we were driving with asked if we could pull the car to the side of the road and stop to look at the view. It was one of those early summer days, the ones we just cannot wait for right now. The humidity was low, the clouds were few, and visibility stretched on over the meadows and hills forever. Everything was green. The trees were infinite. Turkey vultures and hawks swirled through the air, gliding on the breeze. Next life, I said, while taking in the vista, wouldn't it be nice to reincarnate as a hawk in Vermont? Just cruise around all day, looking at this. My fellow staff member in agreement. Our visiting monk smiled. Maybe you have already lived as a hawk in Vermont. Do you see all those trees, he said. We nodded. There was nothing but trees as far as the eye could see. How many leaves do you think are on one of those trees? He asked. We shrugged. Thousands. And on one of those pine trees, how many needles? Millions. Yes, the monk replied. So many. All the leaves and all the needles on all those trees, that's how many lives you have already lived. Oh, Geshe, how many do I have left to go? I asked, and he laughed. Don't worry about next reincarnation. This is your life now. Your life is very good now. There is much to do now. We took a long look at the trees, the hawks, the sky, and then he said, we should go get ice cream now. And we got back in the car laughing and continued on our way towards the Maple Creamy stand. I think about this moment often this time of year, as all the new leaves are unfurling and are suddenly so noticeable. I didn't really know what to do with the teaching at the time, and to be honest, I still don't really know what to do with that teaching. Having studied and practiced Buddhism since childhood, I think if there's anything the Dharma is trying to teach, it's awareness. As Geshe said, it's important to be aware of the fact that we are alive, and there are many things we can do right now while we are alive. Buddhism teaches how to uplift our consciousness from our egos and worries to this moment, here, now. And when we are here, now, we naturally become more aware of those around us and the love and compassion that is either present or needed here, more aware of the choice that exists in every moment to reduce suffering and cultivate profound joy, more aware simply of this moment, rooted in miraculous possibilities and alive. Though most of the Buddhist monastics I've met adhere to the beliefs of Buddhist cosmology, not many of them spend much time talking about it. My root teacher, my first teacher, when asked questions about reincarnation, karma, gods, and hell realms, yes, many sects of Buddhism have hell and gods, he usually waved his hand in the air and said, "Don't worry about that." He'd rather we focused on our breath, on our monkey minds, and cultivating compassion for others. For him, the cosmologies were ways to expand our understanding of our lives and all that was going on in them right now. They weren't something to try to believe and understand fully. From my teacher, I began to see reincarnation as a symbol of the many lived experiences within each of our bodies and minds. And as I've come to understand, those millions of leaves on those millions of trees are not the millions of lives we've lived, but rather the millions of lives we are living, each one fleeting, but full of possibility. Think about all the experiences you have lived in your life. Think about all the experiences you've lived since waking up this morning. The sensations on your skin, the tastes on your tongue, the smells in the air, the thoughts in your head, the joys, the sorrows, the concerns that have flitted through your mind, the choices you have made. So many. As many experiences as there are leaves on the trees outside these windows and more. All of them rooted in miraculous possibilities and alive, all of them inherently interconnected with the lives of those around us. There's this idea in Buddhism that we've all reincarnated so many times that at one point, everybody was our mother, and at another point, we were everybody's child. Pretty wild, right? Well, The concept is meant to deepen our awareness of our interdependence with all beings and cultivate the deep compassion that naturally arises when we pause to recognize another living being, their suffering, their desire to be happy. There are a number of loving kindness meditations and visualization practices centered around this concept, practices where you close your eyes and feel gratitude to those around you as though they were your mother, and then feel care for those around you as though they were your child. The meditations are quite beautiful and can be very healing, if not downright mind-altering. When I was just beginning my ministry degree, I applied to a job at a crisis center for survivors of domestic violence and assault, advocacy work I had done while in college. When I was offered an interview, the hiring team invited me to facilitate a learning or healing experience for staff and volunteers. I decided to lead the mother-child meditation. It was my hope that it would be an empowering visualization practice for those who were seeking to give love and those seeking to feel love. And boy, was I wrong. After we spent a good 7 or 8 minutes settling into our bodies, feeling our backs against the chairs, noticing our chest gently rise, gently fall with each inhale and exhale, I asked the dozen or so people present to picture an image of their mother and to remember a time when their mother was kind to them, and to hold that image of their mother with the feeling of that kindness. I can't do this. I remember opening my eyes to see one of the women walking towards the door. The others sat there, hands still folded in meditation, but eyes wide open and alarmed. A couple others shook their head in agreement, staring down or straight at me. Is this whole thing going to be about my mother? One of them asked. Because I didn't come here for this. I realized my fault. How presumptuous of me to believe that the experience of a loving mother existed for all, or even was ever so slightly in grasp. Mothers and motherhood is an extremely fraught archetype. It is far from static. Our relationships with our mothers are all over the place. What was I thinking leading this meditation in this space with a group of people, many of whom had been deeply hurt by their families? I quickly apologized and sat there awkwardly trying to recalibrate, and I did not successfully pull it off after that. And it goes without saying that I did not get that job. Like the moment looking out at all those trees in Vermont, I think of this memory at the Crisis Center too, this time of year, on Mother's Day weekend. And this weekend, I found myself wondering, is this motherhood and childhood meditation wrong? This concept that we are all so interdependent, we are each other's mothers and each other's children, is that a useless, meritless, harmful concept? Can it be reimagined, repurposed, reclaimed? What would it take for us to do the profoundly joyful and awareness-lifting work of reimagining mother beyond the bounds of gender binaries, beyond the grasp of patriarchal control, beyond the whims of capitalism that places less value on caregiving or maternal work? What would it take to see mother as a part of all of us? Mother as one of our lives. Mother as a force in all of us that calls and enables us to cultivate, sustain, fight, direct, and fiercely love the living beings in need of fierce and tender love. In her essay, Mothering in the Age of Extinction, from this wallop-packing book, All We Can Save, the climate journalist Amy Westervelt writes, maternal rhetoric can feel really gross and gendered and filled with expectations forced on female bodies, but it can also be quite powerful. She writes, mothers have always been key organizers and social justice activists. Maternal rhetoric was a cornerstone of the civil rights movement, the abolitionist movement, and more recently, the gun reform movement. What has been referred to as other mothering and community mothering has been a powerful part of organizing in Black communities. The idea is that you nurture not only your own children or family members, but also the community around you. Community mothers are the ones leading the charge to clean up the water, get transit working, hold police accountable, and protect and care for their neighbors. Actions that regularly lead to statewide and nationwide shifts. And community mothering is not done exclusively by women, though often it has been. My friends, this week was a week. This week we learned that the highest court in the land intends to simplify and control the incredibly complex, powerful, autonomous, gentle, and tough lives of women. Women, mothers, daughters, women-identified people, people with uteruses. That's a lot of people. People with lives as vast and varied as all the leaves on all the trees you'll see in all your life. people inherently connected to a lot of other people, pretty much to everybody. These moves to control women are nothing new, I know, but my God, they're getting old. They're getting old. I like to think that such grasps for power and control are actually signs of how afraid they are of us, how we are actually the powerful ones, so gentle, so tough, so rooted in miraculous possibilities and alive. And my friends, me and my humanness up here, I'm not quite sure what to say about all of this yet, because I'm still in the rage phase. My ministerial meaning-making skills haven't quite kicked in yet, but I will say, what is abundantly clear to me right now is that community matters. As the institutions that white, straight people especially expect to uphold the values of equal rights, freedom, democracy, and honesty continue to delegitimize themselves, continue to fray, cower, bully, lie, leak, and make their power hoarding and profiteering motives abundantly clear, who can we rely on for justice, for care, for respect, for the right to safety, the right to choice? We can rely on each other. Here, now. And if we can't, let's find out why. And then learn how to rely upon each other. Rely on each other as community mothers and community children, living beyond all binaries, living beyond all outside forms of control, living beyond profits, living beings in need of love, living beings with love to give, with great wisdom to give. There is no room on this planet for anything less than a miracle, preaches Mahogany L. Browne. Every day we lean forward into the light of our brightest designs and cherish the sun, praise our hands and throats, each incantation a jubilee of people dreaming wildly, despite the dirt beneath our feet or the wind pushing against our greatest efforts. I love it when we can hear the kids playing outside as I get all preachy up here at the pulpit. My friends, on this day, this Mother's Day, I pray that you see the leaves and recognize the myriad lives within you, the myriad lives around you at every moment. I pray you see and feel the myriad complex ways we are connected, far beyond anything we will ever completely understand or control. And I pray we see and feel the myriad possibilities and miracles within community that are just waiting to be nurtured, just waiting to be birthed. Oh, and if you can get down with Buddhist cosmology, next Monday, May 16th, is the holy day of Vesak. It's the birthday of the Buddha. Big deal, Buddhist holy day, big deal. All good karma, all good actions you commit on Vesak, May 16th, is multiplied by like 108 million times or something. It's what happens on Buddhist holidays. All your karma, and bad karma, same thing. So good karma multiplied, bad karma multiplied. So it's a really good opportunity to do a lot of really good things that have an extra positive impact, and maybe make headway on your next rebirth if you believe in that. Or just make headway in this life, this community, this moment right here, right now. My maternal friends, oh, my maternal friends, help us to be gentle and tough. My children friends, your life is a miracle rooted in possibility. My friends, this is your life now. And there is much to do now. So let's get to it, shall we? Let it be so. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you to our tech crew, Pete and Jennifer. Thank you, Marge, for helping out with the service. Thank you, Gwen and Mac, playing outside. Thank you, Sam. All are welcome to join us after our closing benediction outside to sing Spirit of Life. The lyrics are printed in your order of worship if you do not know them. And before we leave this place, my friends, won't you once again join me in a time of prayer? May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May we all experience profound joy in the causes of profound joy. May we all be free, free to live and free to choose. And won't you join me in the words of our unison benediction? For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. For those who come to seek a path, may a way be found, and the courage to take it step by step. Please join us outside to sing if you'd like.